Hi everyone. Today we will be talking about strategy number 29, language focus lessons, supporting English vocabulary and structure acquisition. Our team is formed by Ana Angulo, Astrid Nunez, and myself, Olga Salgado. First of all, we will be talking about supporting English vocabulary and structure acquisition, and our classmate Ana will be explaining that for us.
Today I'm going to be talking about language focus lessons, in which the emphasis is on English vocabulary and usage rather than curricular content. I'm not going to be talking about material content itself, but the exploration of how language is used in math, science, and social studies. So the language selected in these lessons are based on teachers' observation and knowledge that English language learners are having difficulty with. So suggested language forms and functions, which are articles, prepositional phrases, degrees, and comparisons. So for the articles, these are words that indicate plurals and singular form. For example, in this worksheet, we have an apple, we have a dog, and we have an egg. These are just examples, and this is a worksheet you can give your L students. Next, we have prepositional phrases, position words. These words are seen in language arts, science, and social studies. We have in, on, under, besides, and in back of. Over here, this is something that we can have in our classroom. For example, we can see that on the first picture, we have an apple on top of the box. On this picture, we have an apple in front of the box. The next one is degrees. These words are predictions, words to make predictions in science, literature, and class rules. So, for example, if we have class rules, we might want to modify them, like for example, on number 5. We can use words as must, may, might, could, or should. So for the classroom rule number 5, we could modify it as you should not run inside the classroom. Next, we have comparison words. Comparison words are used in mathematics, describing in any subject. So for example, smaller, larger, fewer, less, and wider. So on this picture, I have 2 balls. I can say, which ball is smaller? The one on the left or the one on the right? Yes, you guys are right. The one on the right side is smaller than the one on the left side.
Thank you, Anna, for that. So let's just recap that language focus lessons focus on how the vocabulary is used by the English language learner instead of the curriculum content. So anytime the teacher sees that a student or a group of students are struggling with something, she can create a language focus lesson. Next, we will see how to create a language focus lesson step by step. Okay, so today I will be talking about the steps in creating a language focus lesson. The first step is to observe and note language errors. Plan time to work with small groups of students who have the same needs for direct instruction in language usage. Step 2. Gather materials. Gather realia, visuals, and ideas for hands-on demonstrations of the language usage to be taught. Step 3. Explain and model language usage. Introduce the vocabulary and model its use, simultaneously using the language as your model. Give several examples for each term so that the students can see when and how the language is used. Step 4. Practice in active mode. Give students an opportunity to perform or model a hands-on movement or activity as they use the focus language. Step 5. Practice for mastery. Design an activity that allows you to observe the student's mastery of the focus language. If you do not connect the language, if they do not connect the language to the action correctly, repeat the third and fourth steps. Step 6. Assess using observation. In this step, performance tasks can be planned to determine each student's mastery of the language focus lesson. Provide an opportunity for each student to use the focus language in context and use an anecdotal record or checklist to keep a record of the student's performance. In this slide, we can see a sample anecdotal record and checklist from page 194 on our chapter book. The top part is the sample anecdotal record, and the bottom part is the checklist document. So next, my partner will be talking about applications and examples. Okay, as mentioned before, our classmate Astrid is going to be talking about examples of language focus lessons.
Here's an example of how to incorporate a language-focused lesson in your classroom to support ELLs. It's as easy as to making a focus lesson on rules and procedures that ELLs might be having difficulty in understanding. In this example, focus lesson is created to help ELLs understand meanings of the words must, may, might, should, and could, which will be the requirement words for this lesson focus. To do this, it's preferable to refer to the rules and procedures to understand the required words better. In this example, they created a requirement line, which will identify the strength of the required words to understand how they could be used. In this focus lesson, it's preferable for students to decide whether the words are very strong, or not so strong. Once we have observed that students have understood the strength in the words, they could use them in sentences in which we will observe if they are using the words properly. Here is a chart with some sample sentences that students can complete by choosing the words from the requirement line that completes the sentence best.
Okay, and next we are going to go into the fun part, the activity. So we divided it into 3 small videos. In the first one, we will be talking about the activity itself.
Before moving to a really exciting game where students will prepare for mastery, it is essential to observe how English learners are absorbing the new information being taught. To assure that ELLs feel well prepared before moving on, we will focus in breaking down the lesson by showing visuals so ELLs have a better understanding of how prefixes change the meaning of a root word. You can always use a model to explain to ELLs the prefixes and the suffixes, like this one right here. In this case, we use hand-drawn cards. So now it makes it easier for ELLs to understand how to use the prefixes. For instance, they'll see a card with the prefix pre, which has its meaning before, an example, pre-write, and a visual. In this one, they have the prefix re with their meaning again, an example, reread, and the visual, and so on. So now students will combine the prefix, which will always go before the root word, and will create a new word with a new meaning. In this case, the green cards are the prefixes and the orange ones are the root words. So they will combine the prefix with the root words. This one is already combined, which means pre-school. This one down here is unbelief. Once the students have created their words, they will identify how the meaning of the root word changed with the prefix. Now students are prepared and can move on to their popsicle sticks activity.
Okay, class. So, as I mentioned before, with the popsicle sticks game, the students will be practicing for mastery. They will have the prefixes on one side and the root words on the other side, and they will be able to create the words. And once they have formed a word like disbelief, they have to use it in a sentence. Or what else could we form here? Replay, refeel. So then they would have to say, if they create the word refeel, they would have to go, I like to refill my cup of soda at McDonald's. And then that would give the teacher an idea of whether or not our English language learner has understood the concept of the change of meaning of the root word when a prefix is added.
What is mastery and observation? So in order to fill out an observational record, teachers have to give assessments regarding the lesson being taught. So for example, like in our activity, we had the students build up sentences with the popsicle sticks. So the teacher will make close observations on students who really master the lesson and who really understand what they are doing with the popsicles and building up sentences. So after they build up sentences, we would give them the worksheet, which is a prefix worksheet. And teacher also makes observation on that worksheet in order to fill out the observational record. Each student will be ranked from 1, does not show understanding, 2, shows a little understanding, 3, understands the concept but can use words and sentences, and 4, showing mastery. So in order to fill out this observational record, teacher needs to make observations on a daily basis or when students are working on prefixes or whatever lesson is being taught. Thank you.
So next we will be talking about our conclusions.
Conclusion. Language-focused lessons are appropriate whenever a teacher identifies a mispronunciation or misuse of language that occurs consistently. So our first question, how will language-focused lessons help an AL student in our classroom? It will help an AL student only if you as teachers are giving them the help they need. So it is important that you always keep track of their progress. In page 194, we have an anecdotal record which helps you keep progress for each student. So our next question, in what ways did a lesson appeal to AL students? When a teacher forms group, it is better because the teacher will identify who is struggling with mispronunciation. So this is all for today. I want to thank you and I hope you enjoyed our presentation. Thank you.
And then we are going into our final thoughts. Thank you from Ana, Astrid, and Olga for your attention. And let's remember that these language focused lessons can be used at any time that we see a group or a single student struggling with a certain topic. They are very helpful, they are very flexible. Thank you.